morning. My name is Ananth. I'm a professor here in the operations management area. And the goal of today's presentation is to tell you a little bit about operations management here at Ananth, what one should think about when you think about the operations management function, and courses available here, choices regarding the kind of careers you can look for, and projects we as faculty have been doing that will give you a little bit of an insight as to the role of an operations manager. So let's begin with talking about operations and what some concepts are that might be useful to think about when you think about an operation. The first question that occurs to people is to think about, is to get you to think about what is an operation. So when we use the word operation, we're encompassing both manufacturing systems and service systems. The simplest way to think about an operation is best shown with a little sketch. So I'll show you an operation consists of inputs, and we'll look at an example in a minute. The goal of the system is to take these inputs and convert them to outputs that people are willing to pay for. The key focus here is the system, and the focus of the system is the focus on the process of transformation. So think about an operation as consisting of the following. We manage the process of transformation of the system. We take inputs and convert them to outputs. Now, let's look at an example. So let's suppose we're looking at an airline. So you might want to think about the inputs to an airline. The inputs to the airline are people who need to go from place to place, and that they arrive at various locations. The airline takes those inputs, combines them with various components of the system they manage, which is airplanes, crew, a lot of the maintenance personnel, all of these things, and follow a schedule. They take all these people and move them to their destination, and in return for this movement, they get paid. So the management of an airline consists of choosing all of the components, all of the pieces associated with the process of transformation, and we'll look at some examples in terms of the details a little bit later. So an airline is an example of an operation. So that's one example. You could think about a hospital, for example. A hospital is an example of an operation where there are patients who come in who want to get cured. There is the process of transformation. We have hospital beds, we have surgeons, we have doctors, nurses, and a lot of equipment and pharmaceutical products. And what we release at the end of this process are patients who are cured, patients who are happier, cured, etc., and pay you for it. All of the details associated with the running of the operation deal with the running of the hospital. Think about manufacturing a car. Now there are several manufacturing facilities close by here, close to Purdue. If you're driving by I-65, you would have seen the Subaru plant. And at the Subaru plant, what they take are inputs from various suppliers. The process of transformation is to take all these inputs and convert it into a car. The car is the output. And the running of the system is the management of that assembly plant for Subaru. So all of these are examples of possible operations. The trick here is to try to identify what is it about this process that has to be managed. That's the key question. All of the classes here focus on how to effectively manage this operation. And when you think, again, as I mentioned before, we're going to go back and forth between services and manufacturing. Because from the perspective from our perspective, we're trying to teach capabilities and skills that allow you to enter into companies across a wide variety of capabilities and still deliver performance. So that's what we train you to do as part of the operations management minor. Okay. So that's something to sort of be thinking about. Now, in this system, you might want to think about a few things, and this is since this is just a brief introduction. A few things for you to be looking at if you walk into any system. So part of my goal here is to say, well, at the end of looking at this short introduction, if you experience an operation, in fact, you might want to ask, what is not an operation? Okay, and if you look around, Cranach here is an operation. We're taking students You go through a process, you take courses, there are faculty, there are rooms, notes, etc. And all of this is a process of transformation. So we're running a service. And this service takes students and converts them to graduates. And that's an operation. You go to a restaurant, you're being subject to an operation. So a lot of these, the key question from the perspective of being an effective operations manager is getting excited about managing this process. And part of my goal is to give you an idea that there's a lot to be done. It's fun and exciting, and I want to try to give you various examples of things we do as faculty and examples of your opportunities available here at Cranard, as well as opportunities available at the world at large. So that's sort of the goal in the rest of this presentation. But just to give you a few things, a few words for you to sort of to focus on, you might want to think about a few key things that are part of managing this process of transformation. The first word I want you to think about is the word system. Okay? And this is an important word because it says that it isn't just one person who's doing the entire operation. This is not a case where you give something to a craftsman, they complete everything and give it back to you. That might be thought of, that is very dependent on the skill of that craftsman. Most modern operations consist of many people. So if you look at the operation here at Cranard, there are many professors, there are many staff members, all of whom you come in contact with, and each of them deliver a portion of the overall service. So what makes it difficult in some sense to manage is to coordinate all these pieces to create a seamless experience for the customer, as well as to remain competitive in the marketplace. So that's really what we're trying to do. So the first word I want you to think about is the word system. There are many entities that are